Welcome to another deep dive. Today we'll be exploring Zen Buddhism with help from D.T. Suzuki's Manual of Zen Buddhism. It's this really cool combination of prayers, sutras, and teachings, like all in one place.
Yeah, it's kind of like a greatest hits of Zen, from those ancient texts to the insights of those legendary Zen masters.
So, where do we even begin?
Well, I think a good starting point is this idea of a special transmission outside the scriptures.
Okay, and what does that even mean?
So it's from Bodhidharma, who's considered the first patriarch of Zen in China. And he's basically saying enlightenment isn't just about, reading books and stuff. It's about this direct insight.
So it's not about what you know, it's more about how you experience things.
Yeah, exactly. It's about this direct experience of reality, like cutting through all the mental clutter and seeing things as they really are.
Okay, that makes sense. But how do you even get to that point? What's the path?
Well, a key concept here is Tathagata Garbha, or Buddha nature.
Buddha nature. What's that?
So, the Lankavatara Sutra talks about this idea that, like, every being has the potential for awakening within them. It's like a seed that's already planted. We just need to nurture it and let it grow.
So we all have this capacity for enlightenment just waiting to be, uncovered?
Exactly. We're all inherently Buddhas, but our minds are often clouded, with all sorts of stuff. Thoughts, emotions, judgments.
So it's like all that mental noise is getting in the way.
Yeah, and that's where this idea of wunyan, or non-resistance, comes into play.
Wunyan, so that's about trying to, clear my mind, force it to be quiet.
Not quite. It's more about, like, think of a mirror. When it's covered in dust, it can't reflect things clearly, right?
Right.
So wunyan is like gently wiping away those obscurations so we can see reality as it is.
Okay, so instead of fighting against my thoughts and feelings, I should just, observe them without judgment.
Yeah, precisely. Let them come and go like clouds. And this ties into another really important Buddhist teaching, the impermanence of all things. The Gatha of Impermanence says it beautifully. All composite things are impermanent.
Meaning everything changes, nothing stays the same.
Exactly.
So, by recognizing that everything is temporary, it makes it easier to let go of things.
Yeah, it helps you detach from those things that are causing you suffering.
Yeah.
You find peace in the present moment.
Okay, so all of this emphasis on direct experience, Buddha nature, non-resistance, it's all interconnected. It's all part of this path towards enlightenment.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that, Zen practice isn't just about personal enlightenment either. There's also this element of compassion. The four great vows, which are central to Mahayana Buddhism, emphasize this.
So it's about helping others too.
Yeah, exactly. It's about working towards the awakening of all beings, not just yourself.
Okay, I'm starting to get a sense of the big picture, but I'm still curious about those 10 ox herding pictures. They sound like a really cool way to visualize this journey.
They are. Imagine yourself as the boy searching for the ox, which represents your mind. In the first picture, you're kind of wandering around aimlessly, not even sure what you're looking for.
So, lost in the woods?
Yeah, pretty much. Lost in the wilderness of your own thoughts. Then you start to see tracks, like footprints, dung, signs that the ox is nearby. These are like moments of insight, glimpses of your true nature.
Okay, so you're getting closer. You're starting to get a sense of what you're looking for, even if you haven't fully grasped it yet.
Right. And as you go through those pictures, you eventually catch the ox, you tame it. It represents the discipline and effort it takes to, train your mind and cultivate awareness.
It's like a process. It's not like a quick fix.
No, definitely not. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes patience. And even after you've tamed the ox, there are, further stages. You integrate that wisdom into your life and ultimately return to the source.
It's a journey.
It's a journey. It's a lifelong journey.
Okay, so if we're, thinking about actually taming this wild ox, this mind, what are the practices? What do we actually do?
Well, one of the most important is meditation, or zazen.
Okay, and what's that like?
So you sit, you observe your breath, and you just allow thoughts to arise and pass without judgment.
That sounds, it sounds simple, but I bet it's not easy. Like, my mind is always going, a mile a minute. How do you actually quiet that inner chatter?
It takes practice, definitely. But the manual includes Hakuin Song of Meditation, which can help. It describes the stages of meditation and offers guidance for practitioners.
So it's not about emptying your mind completely. It's about, learning to observe those thoughts, not get carried away by them.
Exactly. And sometimes Zen uses these paradoxical riddles called koans to help break through those those habitual thought patterns.
Koans, those are the ones that sound like riddles without logical answers, right? Like, what is the sound of one hand clapping?
Yeah, exactly. They're designed to, like, short-circuit your usual way of thinking, point to a deeper understanding.
Okay, so if meditation is like taming the wild ox, are koans like throwing a wrench in the gears?
That's a great analogy. Yeah, they're meant to jolt you out of complacency.
Okay, so we've got meditation, we've got koans. It's all about recognizing that Buddha nature, taming that wild ox of the mind.
Yeah, it's about waking up to the truth of reality.
Okay, this is all starting to make sense, but I am curious about one thing. The manual mentions this analogy of a strong man seeking his own gem.
Oh yeah, that's from Ginsh's Three Invalids commentary. It's about recognizing your own Buddha nature. You already have that precious jewel within, but we spend so much time searching for it externally.
So it's about turning inward, looking within to find what we're seeking.
Exactly. Recognizing that inherent perfection that's already present.
Okay, that's pretty profound. I'm
Uh-huh.
starting to see how all of this fits together.
And we're just scratching the surface. Zen is full of all these rich symbols and rituals that can help deepen our understanding even further.
Oh yeah, like what kind of rituals?
Well, maybe we can dive into those next, like explore the world of Zen monasteries and uncover those hidden meanings.
I'm ready to go deeper.
Let's do it.
So, okay, I'm picturing myself stepping into a Zen monastery, surrounded by those peaceful gardens and all those incredible statues. What are some of the things I might encounter?
Well, you'll definitely hear those chants, like those gathas.
Gathas, remind me what those are again.
They're like these verses or hymns that, like little poems, I guess, that kind of sum up those key Buddhist teachings.
Oh, right, like the Gatha of impermanence we talked about earlier.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's the bell, that rhythmic ringing.
Oh yeah, the bell. What's that all about?
It's connected to the Kwanzaa-nkyo, or the Avalokitesvara Sutra. It's kind of like a call to mindfulness,
Hmm.
a way to purify the mind and, just bring your attention back to the present moment.
Okay, that makes sense. And what about those statues? They're such a striking part of Zen monasteries.
Totally. You'll likely see Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, those compassionate beings, who are dedicated to helping all beings achieve enlightenment.
They represent different aspects of that, the path to awakening, right?
Exactly. And then you have those arhats, those who have already reached enlightenment, and even those protecting deities, like those neo-guardians, the ones that stand guard at the temple entrances.
Oh, yeah, those are pretty intense. What about specific figures like Kannon, Jizo, and Hotei? They seem pretty popular.
Oh, yeah, they each have their own unique, role and symbolism. Like Kannon, or Avalokitesvara, embodies compassion, often depicted with multiple arms, which represents their boundless ability to help others.
So if I'm struggling, I can turn to Kannon for support.
Exactly. And then there's Jizo, the protector of children, often shown as this, like, gentle monk. And
Right.
Hotei, the jolly one with the big belly, represents contentment and generosity.
I love that. It's like they each embody those qualities we can, cultivate on our own path.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. And it's not just statues, you've got calligraphy, poetry, and of course those famous Zen gardens.
Oh, yeah, the Zen gardens. Those are so cool, those minimalist landscapes.
They're all about contemplation, about finding that sense of peace and connection with nature.
It's amazing how those Zen principles have, like, influenced so much of Japanese culture, from the tea ceremony to, like, martial arts.
It's not just a religion, it's like a way of life,
Hmm.
about bringing that mindfulness and awareness to everything you do.
So we've covered those principles, practices, rituals, even the aesthetics of Zen. What's the takeaway here for someone just starting out?
It's about that self-discovery,
Mhm.
taming that wild ox of the mind and, just waking up to what's real.
I love how the manual ends with that question from Shitu. Where do you come from?
Yeah.
It's so simple, but, like, really makes you think.
Right. It's not about where you were born, but like understanding the source of your being.
And for those who want to go even deeper, the Heart Sutra, the Diamond Sutra, and the Lankavatara Sutra can be helpful.
Yeah, those are like the classics. They can really illuminate that path to awakening.
Okay, so as we head into the last part of our deep dive, let's go back to those 10 oxherding pictures. Imagine you've tamed that ox, your mind is at peace. What does your life look like now?
That's a great question. It really speaks to that transformative potential of Zen, not just for ourselves, but for everyone.
Yeah, let's explore that transformation further in the next part. So, we've gone through all this stuff about Zen, right? The history, the practices, the art, and I gotta say, some of it, I don't know, it still feels kind of like contradictory. It's all about letting go, but then it requires so much discipline. It's about finding emptiness, but then it's so full of life and stuff. How does that even work?
Well, that's what's so cool about Zen. Right? It's not afraid to, embrace those paradoxes. It's not about solving them in your head. It's about going beyond that,
Yeah.
like dualistic thinking, that either kind of thing. The truth is usually somewhere in the middle.
So it's not about picking a side. It's about finding a way that, I don't know, like transcends those ideas.
Exactly. It was about letting go of that struggle, that clinging to, those fixed ideas. Instead of fighting the current, you learn to kind of go with it, like water flowing around a rock.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. The water doesn't resist, but it still keeps moving.
Right. And this yielding, it doesn't mean you're passive,
Yeah.
It's about engaging with life, but without, that need to control everything.
Makes me think about impermanence. That Buddhist teaching, it's easy to see that as a bad thing, like everything is just slipping away. But are you saying that Zen has a different perspective?
Oh, totally. Impermanence, it's actually super liberating. Once you really get that nothing is permanent, you can finally let go of attachments.
Mm.
You know, that's where you find real freedom.
Okay, yeah. Like if you're, I don't know, appreciating a cherry blossom, it's not going to last. So you really savor that moment. That brings us back to, being present, being in the moment.
That's what Zen is all about. It's about finding that, like, the extraordinary in the ordinary, whether you're drinking tea, listening to the wind, just breathing.
So it's not about escaping or waiting for enlightenment later. It's about like waking up to this moment right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you start to uncover your true nature,
Yeah.
that Buddha nature we were talking about. Like Matsu said, this mind is Buddha. That's pointing to that perfection that's already inside us.
So it's not about becoming something new. It's about realizing what you already are.
Right. But it's not just about like thinking the right thoughts. It's about that direct experience. You have to break through those illusions that are keeping you separate from your true self.
And that's where those codons come in.
Exactly. Those codons, they're like a slap in the face. They wake you up to what's real.
It's like they're saying, stop trying to figure it out with your head. Just look.
Exactly. And when you do look directly, without those filters, reality becomes so much more, I don't know, vast and mysterious than you could have imagined.
This is starting to make sense to me, but like, I'm guessing it's not just one aha moment and then you're done, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a journey. It's a lifelong process.
Yeah.
And it's important to remember, Zen isn't about, running away from the world. It's about engaging with the world, but with more clarity, more compassion, and even a sense of humor.
So it's like bringing that Zen mind to everything you do, not just when you're meditating or at the monastery.
Right. And as we finish up this deep dive, I'd like to encourage you, the listener, to kind of carry that spirit of Zen with you,
Mhm.
Be present, be mindful, be kind, and always remember that the truth you're seeking is already inside you.
Well said. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us into Zen Buddhism. Hope it sparked your curiosity, maybe even inspired you to explore this path a little further.